Okay, there we are. Good morning, everyone. It is Friday. I'm excited because I have one of my favorite people on with us today. His energy is infectious. He's actually joining us. Are you in Austin, Fritz?
Yes.
Fritz is actually in Austin. So I will let him introduce himself, but we have the fabulous Fritz Pollard with us this morning. Fritz.
Well, thank you for that great introduction. And Hallie, you're one of my favorites, and I missed the crew this week, so we'll be back in on Monday, and then I'm actually coming back here in a couple of weeks. So my name is Fritz Pollard. I am a MAPS executive coach, and I've done this for probably going on about 22 years of my life, and have just got a passion around coaching. A couple of years ago, was invited with Monica and Sajeg to run maps from Austin, insanely commuting back and forth every week. Like my wife said, just imagine the airplane is your car, and that kind of helped me reframe that. And yet I'm in Austin this week as we're starting to open up again here in Texas and at KWRI as the Director of Consumer Experience and Retention for MAPS. And then, I pop in and get to coach from the coastal office there and get to see Allie running, or I should say, Taryn and Hallie running through the halls. And then I get to come see Allie here. So I've got a lot of names in my head because I'm moving all over the place. So it's really a pleasure to be on today's call. And I want to keep the format today a little bit open to go in the direction you need me to go. Obviously, we just finished, Spring Masterminds. We were presenting that for the last 2 days. The topic was life by design.
Mm.
We actually pulled back from like the hardcore, here's a training topic, here's the things you need to do, to really saying, are you living to your full potential? Is your work-life balance in balance? And that was a real theme. We heard a lot of people that were truly living a life by design, like one of our coaches who surfs for 5 hours and he does coaching calls for 5 hours every day. Now,
Wow.
he's living his life by design. We had one client on there that bought their dream boat, 36 feet. They're up in Alaska. They were bringing it from Washington State up the coast to Alaska, experiencing massive seas. And she did a bunch of business from her boat. That's a life by design. So my challenge for everyone, and the question I want to ask everyone is, have you assessed that? And we're hearing a term right now. The term is overwhelm.
Mm.
And the question I have for all of you is, what area are you overwhelmed in? We generalize this term and we make it apply to everything that's happening. Now, Hallie, we sent you the 7 circles last night. I don't know, did you get that out to everyone?
I didn't, but what I can do is I can share my screen. I can
Oh,
also
good, beautiful.
put it in the chat as well, but this will kind of help. Let me make it
Yeah.
bigger. Everyone see
So
the screen okay? Can you guys see it okay? Yeah.
So I just want you to kind of let this sit in and sink in for a minute. These are 7 aspects of our life. There's spirituality, there's physical health, there's personal life, there's key relationships, there's job, there's business. We'll define that, the difference between those in a minute, and then finances. So when we have a MAPS client that says, oh my God, I'm feeling overwhelmed, we are triggered to say, which of the 7 circles are you feeling overwhelmed in? Now, what I'm going to ask you to do, and we could create a little interaction and discussion around this, is if Hallie can put that in the chat and you download this and you go through it for yourself. But the exercise is this, and we did this at Spring Masterminds this week, is in each of the circles, rate yourself on a scale of 0 to 10. 10 is, I'm doing so good at it, I could actually teach the topic. A 1 to 0 would be, I am not doing well in that area of my life. Now, we don't want to assume that just because an area is low, that is a high priority. I use the example, the lowest ranked circle for me is spirituality. Churches are closed. I'm kind of a fair weather church attender. Now that's my version of spirituality, is me going to church. My wife would go every weekend. So I know that's a 1 for me, but it's probably not one of my priority ones to move either. It should be, and yet it just may not be today the one that I want to move. So again, this is a very personalized perspective, and I don't want to force any decision or perspective upon any of you, but I'm going to ask you, are some of you feeling overwhelmed? And if so, which of these circles is potentially the culprit? So kind of let this soak in for just a minute. Who wants to share, maybe, first of all, are you sensing or feeling overwhelmed? And if so, which circle seems to be raising its hand? Go ahead, my friend.
All right. So for me, it's when business really started to take off or felt like it was escalating. I just felt like I was, so business for me was the one that kind of affected family and just time with my family more than anything. So we're working with my coach also through Maps. We hired a virtual assistant and started leveraging out different parts of the business so that I could still, keep the lead generation going, keep the one rule of 5 going, and still have time with my wife and my kids and all that fun stuff. I mean, we do it for them. I do it for them, for myself, for them. But then, you get to a point where it's just like, gosh, how many more showings am I going to go on that lead to nothing or whatever, that we do. So yeah, I mean, it's funny, the business raises its hands, it affects everything else. But then when you leverage out the business, it's like everything else increases at the same time or whatever we're focused on. But that's been me, if that helps.
Yeah. Well, and so let me just piggyback on that just a little bit. Is it sounds like you drilled into one area of your life. Gary tells us this: we will never be in balance. It's always about counterbalance, and it's always a moving target. And yet, if you heard what was just discussed here, is there is an awareness around where balance is in sync and not in sync. It's the awareness that eludes us. So today, just from the few minutes we've been together, you've created some awareness around this. Now, ultimately, the first step to transformation is awareness. You got to know before we can act on anything. And I think, as was so eloquently shared here, is my job was starting to blow up. It took away from some of these other aspects, and yet the income generated from it funds and fuels some of these circles. That's why it's always in counterbalance. And yet sometimes we don't refer to an example like this enough. Okay, who else? Which of the circles is showing up for you that may be creating some overwhelm?
I mean, I could share another. I mean,
okay, go ahead.
I mean, from a physical health standpoint, I kind of get into the groove of, oh, I need to answer these emails. Again, counterbalance with business and trying to figure out, time blocking for my miracle morning or just doing some basic exercise. But it kind of constantly creeps up and I get caught off guard and I go a week or two without really doing anything to move certain needles. And then you just gets caught up and then you're like, oh gosh, let me do better with my relationship, with my health, my time blocking. And then, you kind of just figure this stuff out as we go along. I know there's way more examples because I've heard people share great stories. I know like Nina and Eileen in person and a lot of other folks too.
Well, it sounds like you just called on them. So Nina, which circle would you say is raising its hand for you that could be creating bringing attention to the area that most needs some attention?
I would say like my personal life. It's something that I'm definitely working on. I get kind of like laser focused. It for me, the business. I mean, I've been in the business 3 years, and last year I had some personal stuff that happened, and for me to kind of get away and kind of escape, I drowned myself in work.
Mm-hmm.
And I've kind of let my personal life kind of take a back seat, but I'm starting to be okay with giving myself some time. Like I'm planning a couple of trips that are coming
Good.
up. So I'm definitely, and I remember Stephanie in our office, our team leader, who's amazing. She said, you have to schedule in your personal time. You have to schedule in your trips. And when she said that, I was like, wow, that sounds cool, but I didn't really know how to do that because I
Yeah.
just was so laser focused and wanting to build my business. And I actually did it. And I told her, and she was so proud. And I was proud too, because it's something that I can look forward to. So I would say just being consistent with that. It's okay, like, to keep building your business. We should all be doing that. But like you said, there has to be a balance.
Well, and by the way, and we've heard a discussion around our physical health. Man, you get physically more healthy. You have more energy to go serve the other circles. Now, we're going to go over the energy plan out of MREA before we're done today, because I want to give you guys something that you can actually put into action once you do these 7 circles. But at the end of the day, if we're not in a good place physically, mentally, and emotionally, we're not going to have enough gas in the tank to get to the end of the day, which may mean spending more time in those key personal relationships. And yet, again, it's a counterbalance proposition. Okay, who else? Philip, you had called out a couple of people. You're a fabulous co-presenter. Who are the other people that you called out?
Eileen, like I remember meeting her as Rookie of the Year, and she always has something great to bring in. Phila, for sure. Louisa, can't miss with Louisa.
Holy smokes.
Ace, he messages me a lot, or we message each other a lot. So Julie Newman, I mean, come on now, that's a mega agent right there. So
okay, so he just ran down the list. Which one of these 7 circles is jumping off the page?
Julie Newman, come on.
What resonates with me is that I am completely depleted, like you just said, with every circle of my personal life, my clients and their life. And I did hire a trainer through all this. You know, I struggle with weight.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, you know, that's a struggle mentally, trying to figure out why won't it come off. I'm 50, so that's a struggle.
Yep.
And I feel depleted by, it's like I am a strong beacon of light, and I feel like I'm constantly drained. At the end of the day, I'm wiped out. And I feel like there's nothing left but to really dig deep and recharge and pull forward. And just emulate the next day. It's like I'm on autopilot. And
Yeah.
I have the vacations planned, and I have money set aside. You know, I'm doing everything right, but I still feel like there's nothing pulling me up.
Yeah.
There's nothing charging me.
Yep. And by the way, Julie, thank you for that honest assessment. I will tell you, in some of the coaching partnerships that we've got, we don't necessarily need to spend a ton of time on job and business or finance. But there's 4 other circles which make for a complete life.
Right.
So 3, you may be nailing it. But did you just hear what she said, everyone? I'm feeling depleted. If this was a tire, it would have a flat side on it. Half of it's pumped up and thriving. The other side is flat. By the way, you don't think my personal relationships are impacted living on an airplane and in and out of airports? My circle's flat too. And yet I had to figure out, how do I manage all this? So one of the things that I would do, Julie, is let's go ahead and rate yourself and identify, of the 4 other circles, which one. Don't go for 4, because again, there's our overwhelm again, going into overdrive. Pick the one that you may spend 1 month on, moving a 1/4 of a point a week. And just let it begin to become a priority. don't go into overwhelm. Darren Roberts, who is, if Hallie, you've got access to the recordings from Spring Mastermind, you may want to get out the Darren Roberts presentation. Philip, it sounds like you watched that one. He talked about micro wins. Every single day, are you looking for the micro win? Julie, your micro win may be the one circle out of the 4 that aren't business that you move the needle a quarter point.
Mhm.
And if you want some help on that and you and I narrow that down, I'd be more than happy to spend some time with you.
I would
And
love that.
And then, by the way, are you in Stephanie's office too?
Yes.
Okay, so I know Stephanie, and we could create a little accountability with her, because all you need, writing it down is number one. Accountability moves that to 77-ish% of achievability when we write it down and we create accountability around it. Proven fact.
Mhm.
So your homework assignment, oh my God, shoot, I'm going to show up and talk to Fritz. I'm just looking to get some stuff and then I'm hanging up. Now I got a homework assignment, and he just involved my team leader. Oh my God, she's going to love this. And by the way, she will. 4 circles that aren't business. I don't even want to talk to you about business, but I want to know the one that you need to move. And we're going to create micro wins to fill you back up.
Mhm. A lot of it is trying to develop a support system.
Mm-hmm.
That's, I think, I mean, I've been in coaching. I think my biggest thing is looking for, an admin, an assistant that can run at the same pace. It's hard.
Okay. Did you hire the right one?
I've hired a lot, and I'm just, that's a whole nother heartbreak,
Yeah, we're going to only
over and over.
Yeah, well, and since we have Stephanie on the call now, we can't really talk about her. We got to really make sure we keep it focused. Just joking there, Stephanie. But at the end of the day, I would just actually go back and say, what did you learn from the ones that left you, or we had to help leave us? And then I want you to also be open to what do we need to own in those partnerships that didn't go well. And yet I want to reframe all of this for you. Ladies and gentlemen, we tend to be doing fairly well in our business right now. Thank God. Now you have the wonderful gift of saying, I'm making a really good or decent living. Now let me create the perfect world. Now, Hallie and Stephanie, you guys have access to these recordings. You have the 3 coaches. One is living in Nicaragua for part of the year. One is living in Barbados, and he's the surfer. Okay, and Philip is laughing there. And then, and then the other one bought an RV and decided to drive all over the place and coach from their RV. And they got so excited about it, they bought an RV park. And guess where everyone's going? Because they don't feel comfortable on planes. So they're like, oh my God, we're falling into the RV park world. Those are life by design. So Julie, we just need to find where we can fill up some of these other 4 and change the trajectory of your world. Thank God we're making money. Now that's a little bit of an assumption, but I think I heard you said you're good there.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
You can always do better. You can always do more.
Okay, so watch this piece, and this applies to all of you too. We get one circle a little better. What happens to the other circles? Yeah. Philip likes the visual. And I will tell you, the physical health, big rock, that one certainly impacts others. When we are more strong, energetic, it shows up everywhere. End of story. Okay, what else?
Are you still talking to me or are you talking to everybody?
I'm talking to anyone who will talk to me. I'm feeling a little vulnerable right now. I need people to talk to me because Hallie's not around. When I'm around Hallie, she talks to me. I love it.
Yeah, I just feel like, there's a different dynamic when you get past the struggle to get there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And when you get there, I was listening to like Wayne Dyer. He was saying one of his things is like, everybody wants to get into the garden. If you grow a garden, things are going to get into it. I deal with that. It's, when you have it, all of a sudden people show up, things show up. But how do you deal with that element? It's almost, I'm not anyway comparing myself to like, a mega movie star, but I just think to myself, once you have money and once you have a status and once you have a footing in, you become almost like a target. It's hard to learn how to navigate because I do draw a lot of attention. I can hire a lot of people, and it's learning how to identify what is good and what isn't.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still human. I still have feelings. I'm still vulnerable to, is this going to be the thing that's going to help me? And you are like a moving target. And it costs you a lot of time, money, delay, regression, anger, resentment when you set yourself out there to engage with somebody or something or someone or a situation, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, this is such a drain, and they say, move slowly. Was it hire slow, fire fast, or whatever? And then you learn to fire really fast. You learn to get it away from you as fast as you can, but it's hurt, it's pain, it causes hurt.
Yeah. Well, and by the way,
not just personally, but the time that you put in that's gone.
Oh, totally.
And the money you put in that's gone. You don't get that back.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and having the opportunity to spend a lot of time with Gary and in different groups and meetings, the one thing he says is until you've reviewed 100 resumes, you haven't even begun. We review 3, hire 1, and then go, I wonder why that didn't go well. And I may be generalizing, Julie, about what you're asking, but I've heard so much that story and the pain and the cost and the time and the emotions. I hear the emotional energy when you talk about that. And yet the reality is we have a really cool program called Career Visioning, and we shortcut it all the time. And I'm telling you, I've gone through the whole process and hired MAPS team members here. You wouldn't believe what you find in the 11th hour, that it's either a heck yes or a, oh my God, this didn't come up until the 11th hour. Whether it's the life story, whether it's the motivational interview, whether it's the group interview. So listen, Julie, get to Stephanie. We may circle the wagons and come back around. But by the way, gang, is anyone feeling Julie's pain? Hers seems like it's with another human to continue growing, but is anyone feeling that pain right now in another circle of your life?
Hi, this is Ace. For myself, I guess I'm new to the real estate business, and I'm also trying to start a bar business. So juggling 2 businesses at once is very hard and tiring, and I guess I'm lacking every other circle around because I'm so focused in those 2. I guess that's my issue.
Well, now Hallie and I know where we're going to go after 5 o'clock, whenever that bad boy's open. So that's really cool. So here's what I would have you do is print this out, score yourself, and then put a star in the circle that's the priority circle that you want to move in a better direction. So you've got awareness around it. Please hear me, gang. There is no right or wrong as to what you rate your circles at or what you put as your priority. What we do need to focus on, though, is your awareness to do something about it. And if this call does nothing else for you today, identify the one priority circle that you want to pour into. If it was a garden, it's the garden we're going to water. It's the garden we're going to water. The only difference from you showing up on this call going, Fritz, life is so great, I don't even know why I came to this call. The only difference that's creating that is your awareness around the areas that need a little water. And we don't water the whole neighborhood. We just going to water that one circle, if that makes sense. So does that help?
Yes.
Yeah, Ace,
100%.
because here's the thing. When it's all coming at us, we don't get super specific. This is about drilling in and saying, which of the circles is it? And the minute we get down to that, now we can start to take action. Now we can start to do something about it.
That was really eye-opening, and you're gonna water one garden instead of everything. That I think, my life is good. It's just I feel like I'm watering everything.
Yeah.
And you get angry and resentful, and nothing is perfect, but everything is covered, and you're covering too much. And I guess you say the cup runneth over, spreading yourself too thin. You're like on the verge of burnout. I still love everything I'm doing. It's just you can't keep sustaining.
No. Well, and listen, as they say, money doesn't buy you happiness. Sounds like you got a good pipeline of cash flow, and so now it's like, how do I build this perfect thing?
Yeah.
Maybe in a year from now you're in Barbados, and you're doing this call.
Yes.
and Philip's going, shoot, I remember Fritz talking about that, and Julie actually did something with it.
And I'll keep a room that Philip and his family can come visit.
I'm coming to visit, and I know that Hallie is, because I don't choose to go anywhere without her, which is why we're going to go to Ace's Bar together. But at the end of the day, here's what Gary said, and then I'm going to end with the energy plan. Gary says we overestimate what we can do in a year, and we underestimate what we can do in 3 years. Now, I just said Julie, Barbados next year. Or you fill in the blank. Where would you like to be doing business? Hey, do you know what the gift of COVID is? It taught us what we can do remotely. That's why Christy, and you'll see her if you see the Spring Masterminds presentation, on her 36-foot dream boat is selling and listing homes from the boat. By the way, quick little story. She gets a call from her assistant. Oh my God, they want to list their house right now. She's on a boat. Took the iPad, said, take the iPad, here's the Zoom link. As soon as you get there, hit the Zoom link. She did the whole walkthrough. I think they said, and I don't know, Stephanie, if you remember, they were interviewing like 6 agents. She did a iPad walking tour of the home, got the listing from her boat. That is a life by design. So, Julie, we need to set some balanced goals in the 4 circles that aren't business. We need to think a little bit bigger. We may overestimate what we can do in a year, but I will darn well bet you that if we set a 2 to 3 year plan, you can accomplish anything you want. And we may have just created that turning point today.
I like it.
Jason, you need a bigger boat? Why don't you go get it?
If I'm going to work off a boat, it's going to have to be a sizable boat. My little skiff is not going to work.
No, it won't. And by the way, you have to assume that Hallie and I are going to want to be on that boat often. So, we want it to be comfortable.
Absolutely. That's how we're going to get to Barbados on the boat.
Well, Julie, we're just going to Julie's. Just happens to be in Barbados. It's going to be a long trip for all of us. Okay, so listen, hopefully this opened your eyes a little bit. If you're feeling, and I'm going to use Julie's word, depleted, if you're feeling overwhelmed, embrace it and say, which of the 4 circles that aren't business is that showing up in? And if I create awareness around it and water just that garden, where could I be in a year? Where could I be at the end of May? That's what gets me up every day, is moving that needle. Micro wins. Watch Darren Roberts a presentation. He ended Spring Masterminds on Wednesday with his little talk. And by the way, he's got quite a story. All right. Page 308 in MREA. 308. Gary's energy plan. There's 5 aspects to it. I'm not going to go in a lot of detail. You can go find 308 in MREA. There's a meditate and pray, an exercise and eat, hug, kiss, and laugh, plan and calendar, and lead generate. 5 things. Here's the deal. All done by 11 o'clock. So when you look at the overwhelm of any one given day, I want you to think, what do you need to get done that moves your business by 11? And then guess what, gang? I don't care what you do after that. Just manage from you when you get up until 11. Now watch this. Meditate and pray. Spiritual energy. There's a circle for that. Exercise and eat. Physical energy. There's a circle for that. Hug, kiss, and laugh. Emotional energy. Those could be key relationships. It could also fall into your personal life. 2 circles for that. Plan and calendar. Mental energy. That could fall under job. Plan and calendar my business, or I could plan and calendar my key relationships in personal world. And then lead generate. That's for sure business. But what if you knew that the big rocks of your day were done by 11 o'clock? How would that change the way you'd get up? And how would that change what you do from 11:01? I guarantee you, you follow this plan, you're not going to have to worry about after 11 o'clock. It will take care of itself. So gang, we covered a lot. We covered the emotions of what you might be feeling. We covered the 7 circles, which may create awareness. We've created some big thinking specifically around a couple of you on this call. And then we gave you a standard Gary outline called his energy plan on 308 that literally says the bulk of your day could be done by 11. So take that, apply it, implement. If you have any further questions, you can reach out to me or certainly reach out to your wonderful leaders that are throughout the Forward Living ecosystem. And of course, I gotta love Manny. I see Manny running around. He and I try to beat each other into the office on Wednesdays when he's in doing the office meeting. And then I come around the corner and he's tiling the coffee room. I'm like, dude, what other skills do you have? Do you do balloon animals at birthdays? I mean, are you kidding me? So again, I love Manny and say hi to him if you see him. I'll hopefully see him next Wednesday. So that's all I've got. Any quick questions before we're done? All right, gang.
Fritz,
Have a fabulous end to your Friday.
Thank you so much, Fritz, for your motivation. I always say you have the best way of presenting this information in the most humorous way possible.
Well, I can't wait to see my crew. And Hallie, anything for you?
No, that's it. Thank you all for joining us this morning. Let me stop the share so we can see our smiling faces. Thank you for joining us. Remember, reach out to your leadership. We're here for you. If you want to work on your 7 circles, use this as a resource. We love to help you build that balance or counterbalance, as Gary shared. So have a good Friday. Have a great weekend, and will see you all soon. Okay?
Yeah, and by the way, we heard a lot about coaching today. If you need or want to talk about a coach to help you with these processes, I'm the guy to reach out to.
Yes, thank you. Reach out to Fritz, reach out to your leadership. We can connect you. I know Stephanie and I both have a MAPS coach. We love it. Great. So thank you guys. Have a good Friday. Talk with you all soon.
Take care, everyone. Goodbye.